G'day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to talk about maximizing or leveling as quickly as possible for the alliance based characters, and we're going to talk about the route and the pacing at which you want to go. So basically for the alliance characters there are a couple things you obviously want to be aware of. So there's a couple basic rules that you kind of cover when you talk about leveling. Firstly, allied races being the Void Elves, the Lightforged Draenei, the Dark Iron Dwarves, and the Kaltirian, the Mechanomes. All of these will start at level 10, which means you don't need to do the starting zones at all. Secondly, certain classes will have a better time. Mages, warlocks, any unit that can create a summoning portal, monks because they have the ability to return back to Pandora. All of these quick travel abilities will help you out quite substantially, and similarly any race that has any teleportation abilities will also be able to do so quite quickly. Secondly, monks do have a experience boost mechanic which helps them with leveling faster. So monks are naturally a faster class to level than others. Beyond that, there's nothing too much really to go with. We're just going to use a template character, Templar, temp, and basically just to show you the start of the game, I'm going to show you kind of how you want to look at starting when you look at leveling a character. So obviously it's super important to understand that when it comes to leveling characters, or when it comes to anything to do with your leveling experience, there are a couple things that are going to be kind of stock standard across the board. So firstly, as I mentioned before, when it comes to races or classes, obviously monks are one of the more interesting kind of units because they have an innate passive that allows them to speed up their leveling. And then some units or some races will also have travel-based passives that will also help them out quite a bit. So this is super duper important. So when we start, we're going to, if you start as an allied race, you will start in your starting zone, and then you will obviously move across and kind of begin your journey in Stormwind. And there's a couple of things you're going to want to do here. So if you are not a monk, if you are not a wizard, if you're not a mage, you're going to want to get a Dalaran Hearthstone. This is very important because it is going to help you out later on by giving you a second way to obviously teleport and access your capabilities. In terms of your class spec, because we are going to be involving dungeons in these leveling guides, it is always best to go a tank if you are aware of how to play tank. Otherwise, DPS is more than fine. There's nothing wrong with being a DPS as we're interweaving the dungeons within our leveling experience. So once you arrive, you will accept your quest, complete it, and then you can find the Hero's Call board. But first, before we do absolutely any of that, what we're going to do is we are going to look at, obviously, speaking to Chromie. Why are we speaking to Chromie? Well, there's an important thing. We're going to select the timeline to go to, if you are not a monk, you're going to select the Iron Horde timeline, so you can begin the quest campaign to go and get your Dalaran Hearthstone. Oops, sorry, not that one. There we go. First mistake. You're going to select the Legion Invasion quest line, and this is going to give you the Legion Returns, where you're going to obviously speak to them, and then you can go begin the Legion quest line. You're going to run that all the way to Dalaran, skip the cutscenes, skip the scenario quest, and then you are going to have your Dalaran teleportation. You're then going to come back to Stormwind, and you are going to select the Burning Crusade as your choice of leveling zone. But we're not going to level in the Burning Crusade. We are actually going to begin leveling in Elwyn Forest. While you do so, you're also going to queue for random Burning Crusade dungeons, as this is super duper important. These dungeons are going to be a great source of experience, as these dungeons are a fantastic, very quick, have many dungeon quests in them, and they're very good XP up to around about level 35. So that's super duper important. Another thing you also want to do is you want to find a guild as soon as possible. The reason being, you want to find a guild so that you can have the perks of the reduced time on your Hearthstone. These are all super important capabilities that you are going to want to do. So we're just going to return back when I'm on a character with flying so that I can show you the route upon which to take. Let's briefly talk preparation for your journey. So there's not too much that you can prep for. If it is currently the Dark Moon Fair, you can go there and receive a carousel boost, which will give you some experience gains, which is pretty good. You can also buy yourself the Dark Moon Top Hat, which will also give you some additional experience gains. If you are looking for items that will help you in general, there are a couple that are important. The Goblin Glider Kit and gun shoes will both be able to help you get around very quickly, especially pre-flying mount and pre-mount upgrades. So these are also very important. Another great useful item is the draft of the 10 lands. Now, unfortunately, this item is only available from BFA. So if you are someone who has not done BFA, you have to go there and you have to use Warfront service medals, and you have to mail it to yourself from another character. On top of that, other useful items do include, of course, heirloom items. These will help boost your experience, help you accelerate beyond the gear curve, and help you stay relevant, especially the weapons. These are probably the most important. And then some toys will be able to help you. The most useful one probably being the one that sells from the heirloom vendor as well, which is a very special map that will unlock all the flight points within your province that you are in. Once you have these items, you are ready to go. You don't need them, but they do help. So here we are. We're on a character that has access to flying. But what you're going to want to do as a beginning character is you're going to actually want to fly to Eastvale Logging Camp. This is where a very dense area of quests begins in Elwyn Forest, and during this process you're going to want to queue up for some of those Burning Crusade dungeons. Now, obviously, it's super duper important to avoid a couple of them, those being hills, and you also want to avoid the Keep of Dunbold. And the reason why is those quests or those dungeons are quite slow. Generally speaking, they are very, very slow. They require a little bit more mechanics, and the XP gain there is not too great. You can kill the first boss when it comes to the Keep of Dunhold, but generally speaking, you just want to avoid them altogether. Don't worry about deserter bonuses. You will be questing throughout this period, and you're going to interweave these dungeons, especially if you're a DPS. Your queue time is going to be a little bit longer than as a tank, and so you're going to interweave these dungeons, and you're going to do dungeons roughly up until around about level 33 or 35. It doesn't matter if you're questing throughout there, just change the questing areas as you see fit. So you can begin your questing in Elwyn Forest. It's super duper important to start at this area here by Eastvale Logging Camp. The quests are both dense and they're super duper quick to do without them needing to be a lot of effort, and most of them are pretty easy. Another important factor when it comes to leveling your classes is going to be heirloom gear. Having heirloom gear is going to assist you. Ideally, you will have this upgraded from another class and it will make your time a lot easier. You're going to stay in Elwyn Forest and finish all of the quests here, and then you're going to start moving across to Redbridge. Redbridge is just along the path here. It's pretty quick and easy to access, and you're going to do, I would say, the majority of the Redbridge area. You're going to continue questing throughout these two areas while you dungeon up until you reach the level 35 mark. Now, the one nice thing that is very cool in the Redbridge area is that the quest lines are pretty dense across the board, so you shouldn't really have any major issues. You're going to go well beyond the Lookout Keep, and you're going to go through the Lakeshire quest line for the majority, and you'll probably end up doing the entire quest line up until the slaving camps around here if you're interweaving dungeons. Most of these quests are very easy, they're very quick, and there's quite a few of them. They're easily soloable, and there's quite a few rares that you can pick up along the way. Now, rares are super important, and you should make sure that you pick them up, The reason why rares are important is because they drop basically a quest worth of XP and they're relatively easy to kill. So you'll get to around here at level 35. When you get to level 20 and to level 30, you are going to want to make sure that you return to Stormwind to upgrade your flying with the flying vendor. Once you get to level 35, you're going to want to go back to Stormwind, and then you are going to want to access the Warlords of Draenor section. So, Warlords of Draenor is what I would say a very, very fantastic starting zone with which to level in. So, Warlords of Draenor is very, very good for a couple reasons. The beginning quests are incredibly dense in the scenario. So, when you go to start Warlords of Draenor, you want to make sure that you do the beginning scenario quests, as these are going to be highly valuable. To access Warlords of Draenor, you simply have to go to Chromie, as I'm doing now, speak to her, and begin the Legion invasion. Once you start, or sorry, begin the Iron Horde invasion. Once you start that, you should be able to very easily level through the starting zone. You're going to want to complete your garrison questline up until the point where you pretty much unlock the garrison questline board. So once you have the ability, you're going to want to hit your or get to your garrison. Once you've unlocked the quest board, that's kind of where your journey in Warlords of Draenor ends, at around about level 41 to 43. Then your next step or your next phase in terms of where you want to be is going to be Lockmodon or Lockmodon, as many call it. So this is your garrison. This is much further on in the quest line than necessary, but you will quest in Warlords of Draenor up until about 41 to 43. It depends obviously on how you go. In Lockmodon, you're going to level here roughly until around level 55. Lockmodon is great because it's incredibly dense, and by having flying, you can access a ton of quests super duper quickly. It's probably the fastest and best leveling area, and we kind of save it for the stretch from 41 or 43, 41 to around about level 55. You're going to pretty much complete the entire zone and do pretty much all of these side quests. It's a very, very quest dense area with pretty good quest lines. Also, if you are a monk character at around about this level, you're going to want to complete the Mount of or Temple of Serenity quest lines that are offered to you. This will give you a bunch of boosted EXP, as well as also enabling you to gain a couple bonuses as well that will enable you and help you to get around. So it's a very, very good leveling area. It's honestly fantastic, and it's fairly straightforward for most classes, I believe. The final area in which you will be questing up to level 60 is Gorgon. Now, Gorgon is located back in Draenor, so you're going to want to use your garrison Hearthstone to teleport back here. And Gorgon is very quest dense. You want to start the Welcome to Gorgon questline, but it also has quite a high amount of objectives as well once you begin the questline itself. So you're going to want to head to Gorgon. You're going to want to do a couple things when you are in Gorgon. You're going to want to first make sure that you unlock the fighting arena. This is incredibly important as it's going to allow you to have certain capabilities. So for example, by unlocking the fighting arena or the sparring arena, as it is for the Alliance, it's going to enable you to A, get quest items from mob drops, which you can trade in for experience and some highly valuable experience. And it's also going to enable you to unlock a couple objectives within Gorgon itself. If you are still struggling for experience and you have managed to clear most of Gorgon, you can head down to Talador, where I am right now, and begin the very first quest at Fort Rin. So by beginning the first quest at Fort Rin for the Alliance side, what you will do here is you will actually unlock the ability to install the arsenal. Now by installing the arsenal, it's not so important in respects of the actual quest line. The quest line in Talador is not very quest dense, but the arsenal will unlock 2 very nearby objectives, which will give you a significant XP boost, which you can use to hopefully finish off whatever levels you need. Beyond that, the only other simple tips that I can give you are things like making sure that you hunt down rares, making sure that you unlock your flying and riding speeds as quickly as possible, and for the most part, you should be pretty good. If you get through Elwyn Forest and Red Bridge and you are still struggling for EXP, make sure that you head to Duskwood or Darkshire and you can continue leveling through there up until level 35. But otherwise, guys, I hope this has kind of covered a nice little route for you guys through which to level. It's a very, very, very straightforward system, but these are generally what I do when I'm leveling an alt. I will follow these kind of guidelines. I don't speedrun it either. I really don't use EXP buffs. I really don't time it for the Darkmoon Fair or anything like that. And generally speaking, it will take me around about 7 to 8 hours to fully level a alternative character. But that is going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I would gladly appreciate it if you would leave a like. And yes, I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, stay safe, and bye.